So we're gonna start class. Today is February 9, 2021 already. Time's fast. But before I start, I want you to write on this question. On this thought. How do you celebrate your cultural holiday? Since there are holidays coming, everyone has their own different holiday depending on their culture. So I want you to write down not just Chinese New Year, not just Eid, not just Christmas, not just whatever holiday you are celebrating. How do you celebrate them? So write down here in this corner how do you celebrate, and we'll come back to it in a minute while I check attendance. Okay, take it away.
Okay. Two holidays I spend with my family is Diwali and Republic Day, and then basically we eat festive food, dress up, and sometimes go to the temple, which is really boring.
Oh, but it's still a holiday, and I like the part where there is food. All right, anyone else? Anyone would like to share? Alex, how do you celebrate your holiday?
I don't really celebrate.
You don't have a holiday to celebrate? That is sad.
Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year.
Okay, so let's go. Who could share how do we celebrate Chinese New Year? Because I don't celebrate Chinese New Year, so maybe someone could share us how we celebrate them. Who celebrate Chinese New Year? Jackie, go ahead. Can you share a little bit about it? Joy?
Well, I think it kind of depends on your family, but like something that a lot of people do is give red envelopes.
I like that. Money, let's go. That's lucky money. Tiffany, how do you celebrate your holiday? Do you also celebrate Chinese New Year?
Yeah, we just eat food and that's it.
Food. I'm hearing nice things. Mia, what kind of celebration you have?
One of the things we celebrate is Christmas, and we usually like spend it with family or we go to parties.
That's nice too. I like Christmas. I like to receive gifts. Anyone who celebrate Eid or something like different kind of holiday? No one? Muhammad, what kind of celebration you guys have?
He celebrates the Eid or something. I don't know how to celebrate it because it's probably a Pakistan holiday.
So, could you share to us how do you do that? How do you celebrate? What are the special things that is in there? Eid, it was called a Eid, right? So, how do you celebrate that? You have some food, you dressed up. Which one has those like they like painted their hands with henna? What kind of celebration is that?
Oh, you mean Mendi?
Oh, is it?
Like you can basically put it on anytime you want, but most of the time you put it on Diwali or like a really special holiday.
That's nice, right? I like them. I have some students before has very
I had
very nice.
I had my arms covered in Mendi. One of my friends know how to do it really good.
How long it lasts?
A month or so.
Nice. Like them. Anybody else have different kind of celebration? Like religious celebration, cultural celebration, anything, holiday? How do you like celebrate like Chinese New Year, regular New Year? I know Chinese New Year is a different one. All right. So who has hands shared? Mansi again. Go ahead. Hot pot, John said. Hot pot and money. When is that gonna happen, John? The hot pot and the money? During Chinese New Year? Oh. What is a moon festival? How is it different from Chinese New Year? Tiffany, go ahead.
It's like I guess you just like celebrate with like moon cakes and stuff.
Oh, still food. I like that food. Other than we pray, other than we celebrate with friends, we celebrate with family. So in general, no matter what kind of holiday we have, it's still like like pour it down to celebration with family, food, and be festive, right? So it doesn't matter what kind of holiday we name them because of our culture and religion, but we still celebrate with family and friends. That's the most important one, correct? All right. So thank you for your share. So let's go to our lesson, guys. So our goal for today is to interpret and represents absolute value by applying it to real world scenarios. This is second to the last topic of this unit. So let's move forward. So let's watch this video, all right, from Savas. Then we'll see what it tells us. I'm gonna turn up the chat for a second so we could focus on the lesson.
How can you represent and interpret absolute values? Think about this question during the lesson. Stock prices rise and fall during the year. The table shows the overall change in the price of a company's stock from year to year. During which 2 years was the overall change in the stock price the greatest?
It makes sense that positive values show increases and negative values show decreases.
What are you asked to find?
So what are we being asked in this problem, guys? But we know that when it increases, it's a positive value, and when we decrease, it is a negative value. So do you remember what are we looking for, Mansi?
What are the two greatest overall change?
Very nice. Now you're paying attention, huh? Go ahead. Let's see why it's that.
You are asked to find the 2 years with the greatest change in stock price. Which is the greatest number in the table? Which is the least number in the table? The greatest number in the table is 19. The least number in the table is negative 34. The absolute value of a number is its distance from 0 on the number line. Distance is always positive. The absolute value of negative 5 is written as shown below. The absolute value of 5 is written as shown below.
All right, so before I let...
Because absolute value is...
Wait, before she talks so much. All right, so the absolute value, it has a symbol of like this line bar, the bar. There's an absolute value sign, and that represents distance away from 0. So from 0 going here is negative, is 5 units. From 0 to the left is 5 units. The position where it stops is at negative 5. Negative 5 is just the place where it stops, right? But the absolute value means it's a distance away from 0. So how far is it from 0? So 5 units. It doesn't matter if it's on the negative side. Also, it goes to that point, which is 5. It doesn't matter if it's positive 5, but it is 5 steps away from 0. All right? So again, absolute value is a distance from 0. And that's the absolute value sign. Okay?
Is a distance, and distance is always positive. What is always true about the absolute value of a number? Absolute value is always positive, except for 0. What is the absolute value of 0? Is it positive or negative?
So again, it says absolute value is always positive because it's just talking about distance. There's no such thing as negative distance. So it's asked us right now, what is the value of, what is the sign of 0? Is it positive or negative? Go ahead.
Me?
Yes.
It is itself, but it could be positive since there's no negative.
All right, Winnie, you want to add something to that?
It's not positive or negative.
Okay.
The absolute value of 0 is 0.
Okay, let's see what this said.
The absolute value of 0 is 0, and 0 is neither positive nor negative. To find the 2 years with the greatest change, use absolute values. In 2015, the change in price was $11. What is the absolute value of 11?
Select your answer.
What's Ada? What's the answer?
11.
Is okay, 11.
The absolute values of the changes in the company's stock price each year are shown below.
So if you look at this absolute value of 11, absolute value of 19, absolute value of negative 34, absolute value of negative of 6, all of them are changed into positive value. If we talk about prices and we talk about distance, they usually change that to the absolute value because there's no such thing as, oh, you owe me negative dollars. No, right? You owe me such dollars in passive way. Let's listen to more.
So, the 2 years in which the change in stock price was the greatest were 2013 and 2014.
So in that case, even though that's negative 34, but they're just talking about change. It doesn't say how much it drops or how much goes up. It's just whatever changes it. It's either it goes down or it goes up. But since we're talking about money, so it drops 34 and it goes up 19. It's still talking about what change, just the word change. All right. So later on, you're going to be working on this page, on page 2 in your task in Google Classroom. Let's look at the example number 2. It's this finding the absolute value. I want you to play around with this one. I put that as a task too, even though there's no work on it, but as a task. Let's listen.
Find each absolute value. Part A, absolute value of negative 4. Part B, absolute value of 0. Part C, absolute value of 3.
So as we look forward for this one, this is the pointer that you could move around. The position is in the bottom, and the line, the distance in between, is the absolute value. You remember when we said 0? So 0 has never sign. It doesn't have a positive or negative sign because it doesn't move anywhere. It's just right there. It doesn't move to the left, it doesn't move to the right. So if, let's say, we have a 4, so the absolute value is positive 4. If you go to the question 1, which is negative 4, the absolute value is 4. Move forward, it's still talking about the distance from 0. So no matter where you go, it just talk about the distance from 0. All right, I want you to play around with that one, and it's gonna just to think what it is. Like, for example, that is the explanation of that example. Question about absolute value. So let's look at example number 3, and we interpret how absolute value is being used. Here you have to listen carefully because you might have more questions on this one. So let's listen.
Negative numbers sometimes represent debts. Yasmin is a business owner. The table shows 3 account balances that represent her gallery's debts.
So what do you mean by debts, by the way? Can anyone tell us what debts means? Joy?
It's basically like money that you owe.
All right, money that you owe. Winnie, do you agree to that?
Yeah.
All right, so
Part
question is,
A, which account has the least balance?
so where do you think is the one that has the least balance? John? You're raising your hand, John?
No, that was accident before.
All right, Tiffany, which account has the least balance?
A.
All right, so let's see. You said A, so let's see what this how it was explained to us. So it was a graph accordingly. It says least, right? The lowest balance. So I mean, which one has the least balance? So it was plotted this way. So this was plotted according to there, right? They plot the points in the number line, and then they label them like that. Do you agree to the label? Right? So if we know how to plot them, we know how to label them. So let's see what happened. So because it says negative 50.99 is farther to the left of the number line than either negative 34.42 or 12.75, negative 0.59 is the least or the least balance, right? It's a farther away from zero. So that is the least. But actually, if you go up talk about money, then that's the most balance you got. Let's look at what it says here. So this is gonna be your work later on. I went back. So this one is a different
Part B.
question.
Which account has the greatest debt?
So remember, if you go back here, you are asking for what
Part
is the
A.
list.
Which account has the least balance?
So, and we know that it's 50.59 because that's the farthest away from zero. According to the number line, that's the least. But in this question in part B, we're looking for
Part B.
which
account has the greatest debt?
All right, let's look at this. So account A has a balance negative 35.42, the absolute value. Since we're talking about money, we put in absolute value. It's 35.42. Account B has negative 50.59 with absolute value is 50.99. Account C is negative 12.75. Find the absolute value is 12.75. All right. So now 50.99 is the greatest amount of money owed, and B has the greatest debt. So because in terms of money, that has the greatest value that they owe. All right. So don't be confused of just the positioning, and don't be confused if it's termed about money. Okay. And here on question number 3, you're gonna work on your own. You have any question? You're good? You're good to practice? So we did that slide. Wait. We go. Why I keep on clicking stars? All right, here. We did that together, and we did this together. So right now, want you to go to your Google Classroom, check the task in the Google Classroom, and work on the Envision practice. Actually, you only have 3, right? One, exercise 1, you have last page. Exercise 2, actually, you don't have anything to do about it. All you have to do is play around to practice the absolute value. And then exercise 3, that's the last question you got. All right. So when you're done with that, there are only 2 questions. You move on to the quiz that I have given you. There are only 5 questions. The classwork is due by the end of the period. The quiz is due by the end of the day. Question.
Do we have to do the convince me?
Oh, no. Convince me, you tell me, you talk to me. We do that all the time. So it's not waste of your time to do it there. Questions now. So you guys go to Google Classroom and do the task in Google Classroom. It's gonna be 6:15. It's gonna be the one that says here, absolute value rational numbers. All right, view assignments. I haven't moved it to the group yet, but I'll move it later. Right, instructions. Elijah, you cannot turn it in without work, so you work first. All right, there you go, guys. Okay, so
We can go out the peer deck, right?
yes, you can go out of the peer deck. So you could guys work, and I'll check back on you in 5 minutes.